Welcome, friends, to today's Explainer. We are jumping right in today to unpack the absolute foundation of business management. We're going to break down the corporate world around you in a way you've probably never seen before. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 5 core areas: business and sectors, marketing myopia, vision to KPIs, shareholders versus stakeholders, and finally, why firms exist. Let's get to it.
Section 1. Business and sectors. Building the foundation.
So to start at square one, before we can even think about managing some massive global enterprise, we have to ask a deceptively simple question. What actually is a business? Well, technically, it's a continuous, organized economic activity. It involves the production, distribution, and exchange of goods and services, all to earn a profit while bearing risk. And depending on the type of competition they face, whether they're in a fiercely competitive perfect market or sit in comfortably as a dominant monopoly, every single business fundamentally has to figure out the answers to 3 basic questions. How do we do it? For whom do we do it? And how much profit can we make? It's literally the ultimate balancing act of risk and reward.
Now, we can look at any of these businesses through different management lenses. It's kind of like looking at a giant puzzle through different colored glasses. Take the economic lens. Reliance Industries, for example, focuses heavily on production and market efficiency to drive financial profit. But shift over to the value creation lens and you see Apple. They're obsessively solving customer needs through brilliant innovation. Then you have Amazon, which relies heavily on the organizational lens to coordinate its massive complex logistics, or Walmart using a strategic lens to position itself relentlessly around everyday low prices. It's the exact same business world, just analyzed through different lenses, so leaders can make the best possible decisions.
While a firm is a single entity and an industry is a group of competing firms, a sector categorizes them on a massive macro level. Think of the primary sector as extraction, like oil mining. The secondary sector takes those raw materials and manufactures them into finished goods. Think BMW building cars. Then we have the tertiary sector. These are your services, like Wipro and IT, or your local bank. Now the quaternary sector, that is where knowledge, software, and AI live, home to companies like Zoho or OpenAI. And finally, the quinary sector involves the really high-level policymaking at massive institutions like the World Bank.
Moving on to Section 2, Marketing Myopia and Avell's Framework. Seeing the bigger picture.
Okay, I want to take a slightly serious tone here for a second, because we are now looking at exactly how giant, seemingly invincible companies totally fail. Basically, they get terrible tunnel vision. This brings us to marketing myopia, which is this really famous concept introduced by Theodore Levitt back in 1960. It essentially means failing because you focus way too narrowly on your specific product rather than what the customer actually needs. It causes total blindness to market shifts. Think about the cautionary tales we all know. Nokia focused solely on their great mobile hardware, but completely ignored the shift to touchscreens. Or H&T watches in India. They prided themselves on precision mechanical watches, but lost everything to affordable quartz watches. They totally forgot what the customer actually wanted.
So how do you actually fix this? You have to contrast a narrow, product-oriented view with a broad, market-oriented view. If Tata Motors simply said, "We manufacture vehicles," that's product-oriented. It's incredibly short-sighted. Instead, they say, "We provide safe, affordable, personal, and commercial mobility solutions." That broad, market-oriented view is a real game changer. It's exactly how companies adapt and survive when the world changes around them.
To systematically avoid this trap, we use Derek Abell's framework. Just think of the 3 W's to keep it locked in your memory. Who, what, and how. First, who is our target customer? Second, what need are we actually satisfying for them? And third, how are we delivering it using our unique technology or capabilities? Seriously, this framework is the ultimate strategic cure for myopia.
Let's look at a real-world case to see this in action. Take Taj Hotels. Who are they targeting? Premium travelers and global tourists, right? What need are they satisfying? Luxury, cultural experience, and pure prestige. And how do they do it? Through stunning heritage properties and personalized Indian hospitality. Taj isn't just selling a place to sleep. They are selling the royal feeling of being hosted. Their how is rooted so deeply in heritage that it creates a moat competitors literally can't copy.
All right, Section 3, Vision to KPIs, the internal mechanics.
We've talked a lot about how a company views the outside market. Now let's shift gears and look at the internal mechanics. We're breaking down a company's DNA. Your vision is the future state you want to create.
It's the ultimate why. Tesla's vision, for example, is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Your mission is the specific day-to-day work you do today to get there, like creating the most compelling car company. And core values? Those are your absolute, non-negotiable principles governing how you operate, like a fierce commitment to innovation and safety.
Now, to make that overarching mission a reality, you need goals and objectives. This draws directly from Peter Drucker's management philosophy. Goals are broad, long-term desired outcomes. They basically give you a compass direction. Objectives, on the other hand, are highly measurable, time-bound specific targets. So a goal might be, we want to be more profitable. But an objective is, we will increase profit margins by 5% by the fourth quarter. See the difference? Goals point the way, but objectives give you the actual measurable milestones you need to hit.
And how does that cascade into the day-to-day grind? That's where CSFs and KPIs come in. Critical success factors are those essential, big-picture activities that absolutely must go right for the business to survive. For SpaceX, mastering reusable rockets is a fundamental CSF. If they fail that, they fail entirely. Key performance indicators, though, are the specific metrics measuring your success on those factors, like tracking exact employee turnover rates in HR or your production defect percentages. Basically, CSFs are your strategic priorities and KPIs are your daily scorecard.
Section 4. Shareholders versus Stakeholders, the Great Debate.
We are now stepping into a massive, ongoing philosophical clash regarding who a business is ultimately accountable to. We're going to look at this completely neutrally, because honestly, both sides deeply shape modern corporate behavior. On one side, we have the classic shareholder theory, famously championed by Milton Friedman. The quote you see here really says it all. Business success is measured in financial performance primarily to maximize the shareholder's wealth. In this view, the shareholder is the principal who invests their hard-earned capital. The managers, they're simply agents whose sole job is to maximize the financial return on that investment. It is a highly focused, financially driven perspective.
But then, on the exact opposite side of the ring, you have the stakeholder theory, proposed by R. Edward Freeman. He argues that a business only survives because many different stakeholders cooperate. Therefore, managers absolutely must balance multiple interests along with the finances. In this framework, it's not just about the owners. A firm has to create value for its employees, its suppliers, local communities, and even the environment. It's a much broader, more complex view of corporate responsibility.
Finally, Section 5. Why do firms exist? COS's transaction costs.
This brings us to our grand finale. This is arguably the most profound economic theory of our entire explainer today, based on the brilliant work of Ronald Coase. I want to pose a deeply thought-provoking question directly to you. If open, free markets are so incredibly efficient at allocating resources, why do firms even exist? Like, really think about it. Why don't we all just work as independent freelancers, trading with each other every single minute of the day for every single task?
To wrap our heads around this, let's ground this complex economic theory in a totally relatable, everyday scenario. Dinner. Look at option A, cooking at home. This represents an internal firm. Yes, it requires your own effort, but you have full control over the ingredients, the process, the timing. Now look at option B, buying food from the open market. You have to search for a restaurant, compare prices, read reviews, place the order, wait for delivery, and try to get a refund if they mess up your order. All those extra headaches, those are the hidden costs of using a free market.
These hidden hassles are what economists call transaction costs. Specifically, we're talking about search costs, negotiation costs, monitoring costs, and enforcement costs. You can remember this with the acronym SMME: Search, Negotiate, Monitor, Enforce. You have to search for the right suppliers, negotiate the contracts, monitor the quality of the work, and enforce the agreements if things go south. And let me tell you, all of this takes an immense amount of time, energy, and money.
And that brings us to Ronald Coase's absolute genius insight. Firms only exist because organizing activity internally, under a manager, is sometimes actually cheaper than navigating the chaotic open market. As Coase perfectly stated, a firm expands until the internal coordination cost equals the market transaction cost. Simply put, you hire a full-time employee instead of scrambling for daily freelancers, specifically to minimize those exact transaction costs. It's all about efficiency.
So here's the bottom line. Markets coordinate through prices. Firms coordinate through managerial authority. Organizations will grow, shrink, or outsource depending entirely on which of those two arrangements minimizes their costs. So as you take these foundational lessons with you today, I want to leave you with one final thought. When you step out there and build your own enterprise, which mechanism will your future business rely on to succeed?